Hello, dear friends in Bulgaria and all over the world, and welcome. You are watching the TV show Visible and Invisible, Counterpropaganda. I'm SVET DI-NAHUM. An army of cartoon dogs destroyed both the sleep and dreams of the Kremlin dictator Vladimir Putin. They are attacking Russian trolls and they are blocking their accounts on social media. They turned Twitter from a place where Russian bots, trolls, propagandists, influencers, official political figures, and all other kinds of Vatniks were feeling superior for quite some time, into a place where freedom prevailed over propaganda. They are NAFO, North Atlantic Fellow Organization. They showed to the world that when there is a will, then there is a way to effectively confront fake news, disinformation, and lies. They come from all over the world, from all possible social, ethnic, religious, political, and you name it, various backgrounds. And they are united to help Ukraine win against Russian Mordor. They are united because they chose the path of good against evil. And so, today I'm particularly proud and happy to talk with two extinguished NAFO members, Thomas Engstrom and Margit Richert, Maggie. Maggie Richert, born in 1981, is a writer of travel essays and literary critique and reviewer. For many years, she was a columnist for several major Swedish daily newspapers. Together with her husband, Thomas Engstrom, she has authored two climate dystopian novels as well as a recent war diary from Ukraine. Thomas Engstrom, born in 1975, was also for many years a columnist and critic in major papers. He has a law degree and has published a total of 8 novels, 4 of them spy novels, and one of them, West of Liberty, adapted to a German-British-Swedish TV series. Like his wife, Engstrom quit his newspaper assignments upon leaving Sweden for Ukraine, and after editorial disagreements to do with Sweden's application for NATO membership, something which both Engstrom and Richert have been strongly supporting. Both are now concentrating on the work they do in Ukraine for the Georgian National Legion. So, welcome Maggie and Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you. We sound really important when you present us like that. It doesn't feel like that.
And really strange, perhaps.
My first question to you is, please tell the public what is NAFO.
Well, it's silly cartoon dogs, and we raise funds for the Georgian Legion. That's the center of it, the real center of it. And then it's grown in all directions, really. Like, some people are really into countering Russian propaganda. Others are more into donations, but I mean, that's what centers it all. And we're basically just people who are not happy with Russia and Russia's role in the war in Ukraine. We fundraise for the Georgian Legion and for everything for Ukraine to win.
I think to a certain extent it is also a preemptive resistance movement. Like for people in Western Europe and America and Japan and Korea and Australia and wherever you go, good people now are imagining what it would be like to be under Russian fascist occupation. And this has grown organically because I think everyone wants to be part of a resistance movement against something like that. So it's an act of solidarity with Ukraine, but it's also like a thought experiment, but a very practical and good one. Of how do we combat these bastards before they even get to our countries? I think that's part of it, at least. But,
yeah, I think so. I mean, Ukraine is obviously fighting for all of us, so it's going to be. We have to support them.
And how did you two actually? How did you decide to join NAFO?
I don't even know if the term NAFO was coined when we joined. since we have lived in Georgia, so the Georgian Legion is, it's very close to heart. It's Ukraine and Georgia, the two countries we love the most. I have been looking for ways to donate to them. I even wrote a column about it in the Swedish newspaper. And then I found Camelia, who was asking for donations to the Georgian Legion, and you got one of these dog profile pics, and that was like 26th of May or something.
Yeah, but we didn't really know what the cartoon dog thing. I remember you telling me, just look, you can get a dog like this too, and I'm like, okay, what do I do with that? I don't really know. And then it just.
Yeah, we were not joining NAFO then. We were just donating to the Legion and getting a dog profile picture, and then it sort of grew from there.
I see. I mean, it looks like you have been long involved. So, for how long have you been interested in the Ukrainian issue?
Well, since the war started, for me, but longer, obviously.
Yeah, back in 14, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been interested in the color revolutions, and I'm just really interested in the world. I'm part Russian, so I always try to keep a track on what the fuck Russia is doing. They're always doing something. It's a war. I'm against Russia waging war.
Are we allowed to swear on this show?
Well, we would better filter some.
We will do our best.
Let's keep it 18 plus.
Yeah.
But I mean, Svet, you have been some of the terms you've used during the introduction here and stuff. I mean, you've been affected by NAFO terminology as well, right?
Especially considering Vatniks, yes. I mean, and their propaganda, and actually this term became so popular, like everywhere. Even here in Bulgaria, more and more people are aware what Vatnik is. So yeah, I mean, you see, since when did you feel that the new Russia in quotes, after the USSR's collapse, was heading again to a totalitarian direction?
Well,
was there a moment
I mean, the second war of Chechnya was really. I mean, I was aware of Russia. I wasn't as optimistic as many else were, so I have never been. It's like they never really tried to understand their history, I think.
I think Margit was earlier than me, perhaps given her part Russian heritage. I think for me it was the August War in 2008 in Georgia, and I mean, a lot of things happened around that time, like with the Western nations recognizing Kosovo and the Russians raising hell about that, and it was just so obvious. No, I'll change my answer. When the Russians supported the Serbs during the Serbs trying to do the genocide against the Kosovars, that was pretty much when I knew we're never going to be able to work with these people. They are stuck. Like a soldier from the Georgian Legion told us the other week, the Russians are stuck in medieval times, and the longer this goes on, the greater the gap, the like cataclysm between the civilized world and them will be. This clash was inevitable, I think, but it's a damn shame that the Georgians and the Ukrainians should have to bear all the burden of it. I wish it would have been a clash with NATO. Things would have been over in 4 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to people like you, for whom these alarming things like Kosovo, like Syria, Georgia, flashed the red lamp early enough. And in connection to this is my next question. Do you think that the Russian danger was underestimated by the West for like over 2 decades already.
Yes, it's obviously. I mean, so many people have had economic gains from underestimating it, and people will always say you're an alarmist until shit hits the fan. Yes, it was I guess you agree.
Yeah, yeah.
And was, I mean, should the occupation of Crimea, for example, in 2014, should it have been the final, absolutely final red lamp?
Yes.
And was the world too easy on Russia after 2014?
Yes. I mean, we kept trading to them. I mean, Nord Stream 1 and 2, everything. You should have stopped everything. Should have stopped it even in 2008 with Georgia, but we didn't do. But at the very least, when they took Crimea, it was disgraceful.
Yeah, that should have been the definite red line, absolutely. But the leaders we had back then, I mean, the quality of Western leaders has deteriorated for decades, but this was really bad. I mean, we had Obama, we had Merkel, we had David Cameron, we had all these. I mean, historians are going to look at this period and say, "What the fuck happened there?" When all people cared about was making money, doing business with Russia, and just daydreaming, wishing that Russia would somehow go away. And the weakness, I remember when Obama stood up in that press conference after the first major chemical weapons attack in Syria, and he says, now you crossed the red line, and I'm going to let the Senate vote about it. And it's like, you're the goddamn president. You said this was going to be a red line for you, but now you're showing China, Russia, Syria, that they can do whatever they want because you don't want to take responsibility. And that, I think I was like 38 or something at the time, and I just remember the floor just disappearing from under my feet because I thought, we don't have any leaders anymore. This is crazy.
No one's fucking driving. Sorry,
Yeah.
no one's driving. No, it's scary.
Yeah. See, NAFO story was covered by so many major international media, such as Washington Post, Politico, The Economist, etc. So, do you feel that the mainstream media need to do more about Ukraine?
I can't speak for all the media, but I think I know that one of the reasons I quit my newspaper was they weren't very interested in Ukraine. They wanted it to go away, this war. And they don't have the competence, or they don't want the competence. And me being pro-Ukraine, sort of, they don't want that story because it's not. They think me biased, and that's a problem. I think it's very
unobjective.
Yeah, it's very hard not to be biased in a war like this, and I think media should understand that better.
Do you think that, like, we all saw that the big international mainstream media was largely covering and starting their headlines with Ukraine right before the war and in the very first stage of the war, and could we say that after that they kind of mixed the headlines and started using less time to cover the war of Russia against Ukraine?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there will always be a war fatigue of sorts, but I think it's getting back on the headlines now. Ukraine is obviously winning, and nobody expected that in the media. I think I sure did, but it's, they've moved themselves back into the headlines now for sure, with major successes in the counteroffensives, and I think. Maybe sometimes the amount of media interest can be, the importance of that can be somewhat overrated. We know for a fact that important American and British and Polish politicians are coming here all the time.
given the Ukrainians more or less what they want when it comes to military aid.
Not enough, though. Never.
Not enough. It's never enough. Okay, fine, but they listen no matter what gets written in some stupid tabloid somewhere.
But shaping the narrative is important too. And the media should do a better job.
Speaking of shaping the narrative, that's why we decided to make this interview with NAFO members, because I think at the background of mainstream media showing some fatigue, it is exactly NAFO group that really brings brings enough awareness and always on social media shows to the world that it's never enough, that we have to talk about this like every day and counter Russian propaganda. And that's why NAFO movement was actually praised by the Ukrainian defense minister, Mr. Reznikov. So please tell us a bit more about your donation activities. I mean, NAFO donation activities for Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, you have to donate in order to get a profile pic, but I mean, that's not all. People are raising money all the time in every way they can think about this. It's really what we are centered about. I mean, the thing that outsiders notice is countering Russian propaganda, and we do that too, happily. It's a part of the war, but I mean, the donations are, they're like, they're the core of NAFO. And we have done a thirst trap thread, which is sort of a mildly half-naked photos encouraging donations.
Yes, and, I saw that.
People have
interesting definition of half-naked.
And people have been like, we have painters painting actual NAFO paintings, auctioning them. We have this is a NAFO hotel.
Yeah, this is a very nice NAFO painting.
Yeah, and
yes.
No, it's what we do. It's everything is about feeding the wolves. The Georgian Legion, they need to be fed, and they are great fun working with, and they have been very supportive and very kind to NAFO and given a lot of their time to followers and such.
Yeah.
They're super cool people.
Yeah,
and they know how Twitter works, obviously.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, keeping the narrative and never going straight and allowing the public to fall into a general fatigue is something that NAFO is great about on Twitter and other social media. And recently NAFO was praised by the 780 Brigade of the US Army. And they deal with cybersecurity, etc. At the same time, the Russian propagandist channels like Russia Today and Sputnik, they claim that NAFO was established by some Western secret services. So, do you feel like you are in some kind of a spy movie?
Yeah, I mean, the fun part is I'm very happy if the Russians believe that we are a CIA sponsored.
And they do.
Yeah,
they do. They totally believe that.
But I mean, this is the sort of thing, you can't really create a thing like that. It grows organically and it develops an entirely separate internet culture. It's really hard to mastermind something like this. I don't think the CIA are good enough to do this.
No,
I mean, we're too stupid. They would have tried to be much smarter, but we just send stupid memes to people.
Yeah, and I think for an authoritarian system like Russia has, this is impossible for them to wrap their heads around. It's just
imagine we do this for free.
Yeah, for fun, for free, and just to fuck with them. They can't wrap their heads around that. They pay their stupid trolls to spread Vatnik bullshit, but we do it for free because we're just stupid, brain-damaged cartoon dogs. So what are we going to do?
I really like this fun part of all this issue, because it actually shows that right now, when we are at a crossroad between democracy and authoritarianism, and dictators are becoming so strong, like Russia, China, Iran, etc., this approach by Russian propaganda channels actually shows the totalitarian way of thinking, because they cannot imagine that there could be a group of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25,000 people from all over the world who are just volunteers, who are devoted to freedom, who don't want to give up their values, because in Russian case this same thing would be definitely financed and orchestrated somehow. So this shows the different approach between the free mentality and authoritarian mentality, and that's why I decided to include this funny spy questions, because the more NAFO influence grows, the more NAFO will be obviously attacked by Russian channels, and it shows that you are doing a great job and you are actually pissing them off. Do you think so?
Definitely. I know we make Ukrainians, a lot of Ukrainians, we make them laugh a lot, and we make the Russians really, really pissed. You can notice.
Yeah, it's. I think one of the major pillars of NAFO is also just keeping up morale, boosting morale, and laughing at the enemy, making fun of the enemy, mocking the enemy. Is a major part of any good propaganda operation, and that's not just about memes. That's also like when they say something. It always, they use the word coping in some context, and then it just sticks. We just use it against them, like with the word Russophobia, that the Russians have tried for 30 years to blame good Westerners for, claiming we're Russophobic. We've totally hijacked that term, turned it against them, and now it just means a huge dislike and a huge dislike of Russian fascism, and also that we, what's the word? Verrechter.
Despise.
We despise them. We loathe them, but we also look down on them, and that wasn't their plan with this Russophobia word, but that's how we use it. Like, brother, maintain your Russophobia. It will be good for your sex life. I mean, those kind of jokes really keep up morale, and I know it does with Ukrainians, among Ukrainians as well.
Exactly. I actually would like to add something here for the public, that since 2014, when I became so involved with the cause of Ukrainian sovereignty and freedom, when I'm following now the feedback from so many Ukrainians on social networks, they're very encouraged and happy about what NAFO does, and it really keeps their spirit high. And even the soldier in the field, they do read NAFO posts, and it really helps them, helps their spirit, helps their mood, and I could attest that what you say is my own personal observation as well, receiving feedback from so many Ukrainian people. And
it's super cool. Some have joined, and even the soldiers, some have joined. And
exactly.
And this is all such a group effort. I mean, we are here now, but we can't represent NAFO any more than you or anyone else. We're just two people who happen to be in NAFO. It's all a collective movement, and that's super cool, because you don't see them very much anymore.
No,
we did it before the war.
I certainly never was part of one before. I mean, I'm allergic to like collective organization stuff. I hate that. I mean, but how do I do this? Better bad than red. I don't know how to like that. But it's if we're going to have some room for self-criticism here, it is of course like sometimes NAFO is too much about talking about NAFO, like we're doing here. Sometimes NAFO is too little about talking about free the prisoners from Azovstal or donations. Or I mean that's
it sort of sorts itself out.
Yeah.
Too. Since we have apart from Camelia who started all, we haven't got the leadership really.
No.
It's we have to sort things out, and they sort of do.
They sort of do. I mean, I think the collective mind here, like the hive, it feels that okay. Now we spent 24 hours some stupid infighting or just talking about NAFO stuff. Let's see what happens on the battlefield, and let's mock the Russians for the huge setbacks. This supposedly second strongest army in the world just collapsing and routing right now. Let's focus on that, and that usually
people grow tired. This is the internet, and people grow tired of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's constantly evolving, and it's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely, and we all see the Ukrainian heroism. Of course, I wish the world had reacted earlier, like at least after 2014, to avoid this Russian aggression against Ukraine and to save all these people who died, and they die as we speak. So my question is, do you think a point might come in which NATO, I mean the real NATO, would have to be forced to intervene in this conflict?
It's a good question. I think they should have intervened long ago. They obviously, then this would never have happened. But
I think thankfully this is becoming a hypothetical question, because Ukraine is winning this war and winning it fast. And I mean, the momentum they have now is
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So they're going to win. I think we'll never find out. There was a time like 2 months ago when I was in a rather dark place about this, and I kept telling Maggie that it's going to take like another Mariupol for the West to finally intervene, like really with the license and stuff. But the Ukrainians, they picked them. I mean, they what's the word? They salvaged. I don't know. No, they brought about their own salvation here. They're making this victory for themselves, and I don't think the West is going to have to intervene.
No, I wish it did, so this would be over, so people wouldn't have to die every day. But no, Ukraine's going to win this.
Yeah.
And what if Putin attacks somebody else, like another country or a NATO country? What would happen next?
He's going to be able to do that. I'm sorry.
What country would that be? I mean, Finland, Russia will get their asses kicked in 2 weeks. I mean, Moldova, Ukraine would save Moldova. I'm pretty confident. I mean,
well, I mean, hypothetically, if they would get their ass kicked. I mean, if they attacked a NATO country, I mean, good luck to Russia. Yeah. It's like, no, I'm not worried. I would have been worried before, but. No, we have seen how bad the Russians are, and they can't even fight. It's not even an army. It's just a pack of looters, and now they're fleeing.
So, you say that we shouldn't fear Putin all the time, and we shouldn't fear that he might win against NATO, right?
No. We should mock him and his dirty trash army.
It's like Senator Mitt Romney said a while back that what is it with all these questions about how scared are we of Putin and what he might do? It's time to make him ask himself how afraid he is of us, because NATO could wipe Russia off the face of the earth in like 20 minutes, and they should start worrying about that, because Russia is going to collapse in these coming few months, and they have some serious fear in them by now, and it will get worse for them. Thank God.
We don't know if they're going to collapse. They survive worse, but I do hope Russia will collapse. So, some in the
As
West,
a geopolitical actor.
Yeah. Some people in the West are really afraid of Russia collapsing, but I think they should.
They should.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are needing their freedom too.
Yeah.
We see the firm position of countries like Poland, like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Finland, and Sweden, etc. There are others too, but at the same time, we don't see the same position by so many others. Some are acting on the basis of a shameful compromise. and appeasements of Putin. Is it time for Europe to look for more devoted leadership that would ensure Europe finally gets out of any Russian clutch?
I would hope so, and I just like to add, I would want Sweden to do very, very much more.
Sweden doesn't deserve to be in that category. You know.
Sweden should do more, but yeah, I wish we had a leadership. Talking about the strong leadership will always sound like you're wishing for a Putin, but that's not the case. I mean, where are the Zelenskys of the West now, and why don't people elect them? Yeah. It's I do keep wondering that. What the fuck is wrong with people these days?
Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia has been. I mean, they've been amazing throughout this. The UK and the US to a large extent. The rest of Western Europe.
Czech Republic has been.
Yeah. Czech Republic, Finland has been cool. I mean, Finland has a huge land border with the Russians, so they have to.
They can't send as much.
No,
the Finns are Finns. They've been killing Russians for long.
And I think NAFO has been sort of a catalyst in this. I just feel my own international network has been so enriched by. If you see a dog pic, you know that person is going to be on the right side, except for some infiltrators, but you discover them fast enough. But so if I see a dog pic for someone from Japan or Korea, people I've never been in much contact with, you start talking to them and they start raising the issue of Taiwan or Hong Kong.
Yeah, we have Taiwanese people. We have
from Hong Kong.
Yeah,
and we're forging new international alliances now that would have probably happened, of course, without NAFO anyway. But it's just so much more efficient now because we find each other instantly. And that's a really cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yes. You remind me of something important. Except for all those European countries with firm position I mentioned, we should definitely add here really countries like Australia, Japan, South Korea. I remember these Japanese workers who painted their train in Japan in the colors of the Ukrainian flag to show solidarity. I actually wrote a poem about this. Except for these European countries which we mentioned, there are others in the world who really showed now in a real situation they do care about freedom, and they're showing their bravery. Yes, you are absolutely right mentioning Japan, Taiwan, and others. So it means that
it's made me care more about even more about Taiwan and Hong Kong and everything, because I mean these people care about Ukraine. Of course, I keep caring even more about them. So it's really international solidarity.
Exactly. Solidarity is the key word here, and this is the salvation against this malign plan of Kremlin and his allies against the free world. What would be your advice for those of us in Bulgaria that have a very uneasy fight with the propaganda Vatniks?
Mock them. Always mock them. Don't try to win them with reason. It only engages you. Mock them. They are silly and they are stupid, and don't be afraid of them. I understand this is a huge thing to say, but I used to be so afraid of the trolls, but they can't do anything. The only thing they got is lies.
Yeah.
They mock them relentlessly.
Yeah, and I mean, fight dirty. There's no sense in. I mean, it's like Hillary against Trump in 2016. She tried to fight clean. He didn't, and look where that got us. I mean, you can't. When the orcs are coming, you just bring out the baddest, worst weapon you have and just kick their teeth out. Don't be too nuanced about it.
No, I mean, Mamuka of the Georgian Legion, the commander, used his BMW to kill the Russians.
Yeah, to run over paratroopers.
Yeah, when they ran out of ammo. I mean, you can't be picky in a fight like that.
No. Yeah, use Mamuka as a role model. If you're out of ammo, just run them over. That's the way.
Yeah, that's a good advice. We actually we do have some people who went and they show their bravery, and now they are fighting in Ukraine, and all of those here in Bulgaria who believe in this cause, we support them on social media and show them our moral and political support. What do you think?
Glory to the heroes.
Why did Putinism in general, why did it gather so many supporters all over the world? I mean, recently we saw rallies like in the Czech Republic, in Austria, and so many other places. What do you think is the reason for this ideology to spread and into so many minds and hearts all over the world?
I think it's part money. I mean, they spent a lot of money on this to spread, and some people will like authoritarianism. They want. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're leftist, tankists, or right-wing fascist. They think a strong leader is undemocratic, and they like that. But I think like a lot of these demonstrations are. I mean, some of them are paid actors, and some are just contrarian. There is always people wanting to be contrarian. I think, especially in this age when everyone is an internet, you have to distinguish yourself in some way, and there will always be people who want to be against whatever is the current mood. I'm sorry, my husband is at the toilet, but I'll speak for both of us. Contrarianism, and well, some of them are Russians, of course. There are a lot of them in Europe, unfortunately. But I think the demonstrations does not show, they do not translate to an actual support. I mean, I saw some years ago, this spring, I think like 95% of all the Swedes wanted to send more weapons to Ukraine. But being on Swedish Twitter, you would never believe that, because they sound a lot. They make a lot of noise, but they don't represent anybody else. A lot of good people do keep quiet, I think.
How dangerous is Putinism in the light of the oncoming US elections, though, in November?
Well, it is a real threat, of course. It is. I mean, look, they got Trump elected, and the US is veering dangerously close to a civil war because of Russian meddling, and they got the UK out of the EU, which of course was a great feat. I think it's Russia does real harm. Just because they're silly and they're losing now, they haven't caused a lot of harm. They did.
Yeah, they did. And I mean, imagine them. These latest figures that came out yesterday or today about how much money they've actually pumped into.
Some 300
million euros or
dollars, I think, on political candidates.
Yeah, just to wreak havoc and destroy stuff in the West. Imagine them investing that money to like buy proper bathrooms and toilets, plumbing for their own people. That's what you always hope that the Russian people will realize, that they're getting scammed here. But it doesn't seem to strike. I mean, it doesn't seem to me that they ever will realize that. Not before they've been totally defeated and humiliated on the battlefield and back home. This is not going to end just with us getting rid of them from Ukraine. This war will go on until they are seriously defeated, like the Germans were back in 45.
They can't be allowed to do this again.
No. And they have to realize, the Russian people will have to realize that they have no chance against us. That's the only way this is going to end.
Yep. Ukraine basically saved Europe with its bravery. Should we in Europe try to change ourselves, avoid so many illusions we have been living with, like the wrong end of history theory, for example? Will we be able to understand that freedom is a fragile gift? Will we comprehend that democracy is not for granted, and authoritarian ideologies are easy to spread among the general public.
I think we're getting there slowly in the West. I think this has been a great awakening for many people, don't you?
Yeah, I think it has. We met with Paul Mazzara of internet fame, a very important political public figure in the US Congress. And we met with him in Lviv last week, and we asked him about this. Has the US, for instance, the most important country here, has the US awakened yet? And he said, yeah, America is about to awake. Takes a bit of time, just like it did back in the 40s. But it's like turning a Atlantic cruise ship around, but it is being turned around. And I mean, the minute that awakening has been completed, I think both Russia and China are about to find out that this world order that they're trying to change is not going to be changed, to put it mildly.
I think if you're like us, like you're really impatient, you want things to change now because you have known this for ages, it feels incessantly slow, but it's the only important thing is it's going to happen. I think it will. Everything comes and goes in cycles. I mean, now we had this great end of history time. There never was an end of history, but that's over now, I think. It can't go on like this.
Yeah, I would like to have the same hope and strength, and yeah, let's hope for the best. But obviously, this fight is going to continue, and
and it has to be fought.
Exactly, it has to be fought all the time. Yeah. Now, please tell us about the book you have been writing about the war in Ukraine.
Well, it really covers our first 3 months here, and I mean, I have my chapters, Margit has her chapters, and they're basically different days, like a war diary, not about everything that happens in the war, but about just what it's like trying to live here, and trying to understand what happens. So it's kind of a very long form thing.
Yeah, it's we have no idea. It's good. You never know, and I don't know.
It's very hard to know this time around if it's any good, because what are the objective? I mean, we are the least, the worst placed readers to.
Yeah,
I mean, I already know all this.
Yeah, we experienced all this, so it's really boring for us to read it. So, I don't know, but it's out on the 20th of September.
Yeah, in like 5 days.
What? Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And this is the book by Maggie and Tom, right? You're writing it together.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we wrote half.
I hope one day.
And it's only in Swedish.
I hope one day we'll be happy to have this book translated and published in Bulgaria too.
Let's hope so.
And we would great meeting you and trading books with each other.
Yes.
Sure. A joyful question. In this battle with Mordor, can we say that Scandinavians are the elves?
Well, you're the Tolkien fan.
I mean, I guess you could say that, because it has taken us a good while to really commit to the right side here, and when we do, especially the Finns, when we do, which we do now, it does make a difference. I don't think the Russians fear like the Swedish army all that much, though they should in the coming years.
They should fear our navy.
They should fear our navy. They should fear our air force. But I think the Russians really, really fear the Finnish army, and this is. Yeah, we are going to make a difference in the end.
So we are the elves, right?
Yeah, slow to wake up, but eventually we'll get there.
Are we going to be featured in that super long, boring ending?
probably are.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked that question because I have, whenever I would listen to people speaking from Sweden, Norway, even Estonia, it's so beautiful. It really sounds like the elves talking, and I have been and also, you know, that historically Bulgaria and Sweden have always had really good relations.
Yes.
Very positive attitude for a very long time, and Bulgarians generally see Sweden as a very peaceful and good social and economic model, and so yeah, I mean, we should continue with our friendship.
We had Charles XII down in Bulgaria, and without you, we wouldn't have the Swedish dish called dolma, which is basically dolma, but with cabbage and pork.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
No, we remember Bulgaria fondly. It's a cool country. I hope I get to one day.
Yeah,
Fight Vatniks there too.
sounds great. Sounds great. Thank you. Yes, and now we have come to the end. And final question: what would be the first thing you would do after the Ukrainian victory?
Oh, we go to Georgia and fight there.
Yeah.
That's what
Go
we
to
do.
Georgia and kick the Russians out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I really thank you so much, and
Thank you.
and I hope we'll continue this communication, this fight, and I'm looking forward to bringing more NAFO members in our show to continue our conversation. And
And thank you very much.
thank you, and keep strong. Thank you.
Slava Ukraini.
Slava Ukraini.
Slava
Heroям
Ukraini.
slava.
This was my exclusive and amazing interview with Margit Richert and Thomas Engstrom from the NAFO movement. I'm looking forward to continuing interviewing NAFO members from all over the world. I thank you all for being together tonight with Visible and Invisible, Counterpropaganda, and with me, SVET DI-NAHUM. I will see you next week. Until then, you may like, follow, and share our Visible and Invisible Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or support us on Patreon. Thank you all. Stay cool as usual. Have a good one.